Oh my God, Anita.
Welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I'm your host, Willie Bragg. I hope each and every one of you are doing well today. I was watching Bad Fatih the other day. Briahna Joy Gray and Krystal Kyle were having a discussion on politics, and those are two voices I really, really do value, if I say so myself. If they have something to say, I listen. And so anyway, they were discussing the prospects of 2024, whether Bernie will run or not, and who could be the next Bernie. Would he be in the Democratic Party? She be in the Democratic Party? Would they be outside, or what to do? So the discussion of came along of Marianne Williamson and Elizabeth Warren, and I am an independent, and I see myself more than likely voting Green Party in 2024, regardless. Anything can happen. Right now, if it's Joe Biden, I'm voting Green Party. Spoiler alert: if it's Kamala Harris, I'm voting Green Party. If it's Pete Buttigieg, I'm voting Green Party, and it's going to be, it's going to be somebody like that. I doubt it's going to be Bernie Sanders. I doubt it's going to be, AOC. I doubt it's going to be Marianne Williamson or Nina Turner, or I don't even think it's going to be the snake, Elizabeth Warren. I don't think it's going to be any of them. But Briahna Joy Gray and Krystal Kyle had a nice little chat about it. It's more laid back. It wasn't a debate or anything. They just kind of, I guess you could say they were just in a very friendly way doing a little bit of brainstorming. So I'll let you listen to the debate. Not debate. I'll let you listen to the little chat they had, and I'll share a few words too, and all that. So let me go ahead and put it on the speed we're going to do a 1.25. I think 1.25 is always the way to go. And that way, we're good for time. And I'll go and comment in between. So, all right, give me a moment here and we'll be ready. Okay. Oh, let me get rid of this. There we go. All right, let's do it. Take it away.
So the Gavin Newsom thing is interesting, though. We should talk more about that sometime. I actually just did a monologue on all the moves that he's making. But yeah, I think he's just like fantasizing about Joe Biden quitting. I don't think he's going anywhere, in my opinion. But I don't know. What's your opinion? What do you think?
2 weeks ago, I fully thought 100% he's quitting. And I understand that he is doing better in the polls right now. But the specificity with which everybody said, we'll talk about it after midterms, led me to believe that there is an understanding that is had by folks about a move that's going to be made after midterms. And Biden looking up and doing things to make himself look better right now is not about 2024. It's about midterms. And that there's some health issue. There's something going on that has led people to believe that he is definitely not going to be it, which then opens the field up much more broadly.
That would be fun, wouldn't it? But I don't know.
Well, I'm going to go and give my take. I still think that Joe Biden is not going to be the nominee in 2024. The cognitive decline is there. It is there. They can drug him. They can give him as many drugs as he needs to take and all of that. Cognitive decline is cognitive decline. Look how old he is. I'm not being ageist saying this. Also, there is the prospects of what is looking like right now, September the 8th, 2022 at 11:38 a.m. in the morning after I came back from the doctor's office. My personal observation of what the 2022 midterms is going to look like at this point, I think it's going to be probably a Republican takeover of the U.S. House, but not by a whole lot. It's not going to be a bloodbath like everybody were anticipating, including myself earlier. It'll be a Republican takeover, but not an extreme Republican takeover of the House. I think that the U.S. Senate will probably have a soft increase for the Democrats. There will be a soft takeover for the Republicans in the House, a soft takeover of the Democrats in increasing in the Senate. The problem with Joe Biden, if the Republicans take over the House, no matter how large their majority is, and depending on how large their majority is, I guess maybe you could say, there are going to be articles of impeachment for the most bullshit reasons against Joe Biden. Oh, I can give you all kinds of reasons why Joe Biden could be impeached. But you got to understand that even though it will likely be a soft takeover of Republicans as opposed to a bloodbath of a takeover, more than likely you're going to still see a bunch of nutcases coming into the House of Representatives in January, the new class of Republicans. There's going to be a lot of crazies coming in there. And Lauren Boebert said it herself that she's going to file articles of impeachment for what? Withdrawing the troops from Afghanistan, something that Trump said he was going to try to do. And what? To go and do something that wasn't working to begin with. And if Biden's impeached, it's going to look bad on him. So it's possible that he may have to resign for health reasons. That's basically what could happen with Biden. He will use that as an excuse if it looks like there's going to be that happening. We don't know how large that takeover is going to be, if it's going to be a takeover. It's likely to be a takeover. We just don't know how large it's going to be. Probably not as large as we thought it was going to be, and not as large as the Republicans probably were hoping it was going to be. So there is that. So we got an open field more than likely in 2024, and it looks like it'll probably be the heavyweights, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg. Oh my God, I'm acting like it's all about me, and it's all about Briahna Joy Gray. It's all about Krystal Ball. I am so sorry. I came back from the doctor's office. I'm a little tired. I wanted to let them talk.
I still think even if they have to like literally weekend at Bernie's home, they're going to do it because it's sort of like last time around. Remember how the Obama people were all like searching for an alternative, and like Obama's like flirting with Beto and flirting with Pete and flirting with Kamala, but then when it came down to it, they're like, I guess we got to go with Joe because there's just no one else. I kind of feel like it's the same thing where they might be fantasizing about what if we could get Pete in, we really like Pete or whatever. But at the end of the day, they kind of are going to come to that hard realization that they had no real choice.
Well, I mean, I agree if Joe Biden runs. And I agree that Joe Biden temperamentally is not the kind of person who would take himself out of the game unless he literally had to,
Yeah.
Unless he very much had to. But the energy, a couple of weeks.
Hold on. All right. Hold tight a second. Let me do this real quick. Have a little something going on there. Well, here's the thing about Biden. He's been having some good luck lately, and because the right's been so fucking crazy, it's also been to his advantage too. Dark Brandon and they've done a makeover on him. And usually when Democrats decide to be aggressive when they're president and decide to be assholes back to the Republicans, they usually do win favors among their base. And you got to be faithful to your base or you're not going to go anywhere. And the Democrats need to realize that. And maybe they're going to learn that lesson for a change. And if they don't, it's on them. But anyway, I sort of decided to chatter a little bit because I had a little glitch called commercial break that's on the computer. And I just was trying to play it off real cool. So we're going to go back to Briahna Joy Gray and Krystal Ball. Okay, so let's do this. All right, let's go and let them continue. Let's go ahead and do this.
Yeah, unless he very much had to. But the energy a couple of weeks ago felt like that's what was happening. And I also heard some people theorizing that the little wave of stories about Elizabeth Warren and the Bernie, don't believe a woman could be president stuff coming back up, and Hillary Clinton's memoirs, or whatever that book was, all of that stuff is Elizabeth Warren thinking that she is going to be able to capitalize on this, post-Roe moment. I mean, there is an appetite, I think, for the idea of a female candidate, for sure, in a post-Roe world. I mean, people have been buzzing about the possibility of Hillary Clinton running again, but she can't seem to keep her mouth shut and stay out of the press.
Thank God. It's just been found out that Hillary Clinton is not going to run in 2024. I saw that yesterday on Twitter from the Hill that Hillary Clinton is not going to run in 2024. I am so happy about that. And yes, let's see. There are great women out there that could run. I would love to see Briahna Joy Gray run for president or some kind of office one day. I understand that Krystal Ball ran for office at one time. Would love to see her get elected eventually too. Let's see what happens.
And I wouldn't be, very little would surprise me these days. But I do think the left has to be prepared for what would happen if it were Marianne and Elizabeth. Or if Elizabeth were deployed as a way to derail Marianne, in the same way that, frankly, I'm sorry, her taking that $9 million and staying in through Super Tuesday seemed to be purposeful. I think that there are parts of the so-called Bernie coalition, the broad left coalition, that would see her as an opportunity. And if I were to invent a poison pill for Marianne, it would be Elizabeth Warren. Yeah.
Oh gosh, I hope that doesn't happen. Not that the Democrats are great, but Marianne Williamson is way better than Elizabeth Warren. Marianne Williamson endorsed Bernie Sanders when she needed to endorse Bernie Sanders. And in my view, she was even better than Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard disappointed me when she decided to endorse Biden there. But I am so angry with Elizabeth Warren. I will actually never forgive Elizabeth Warren for what she did. And I'm not going to go into detail because that goes into election conspiracy theories. Yeah, and anyway, let's continue.
I agree. Because she also, because I do think, you know, the Elizabeth Warren voters to me are gettable for Marianne, but obviously, like, you know, she would derail that. Marianne gets a lot of credit too, because she was literally the only person who endorsed Bernie, you know?
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, the Bernie diehards care about that. The people who just broadly see themselves as progressives because they listen to Pod Save America don't care about that. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I continue to be convinced Biden's going to run again. I think that's a better situation, in my opinion, to just have it like, because I do think, do you agree that he'll clear the field on the like Democratic elected side? Like, I don't think any of those people will run against him. I mean, I understand why you say yes and why, you know, I think reasonable minds would say yes. But there was something about the tenor and the coordinated feel of all of the people who said he wasn't going to run, which suggests to me that either he is in fact not going to run, or that there are enough people who don't want him to run that they're unwilling to say at this point they support his candidacy. Someone like Roe, who has no designs until 2028, is confidently saying, of course I support Joe Biden, he's going to run. But there were so many people who did not say that when it's so easy to say. There's no skin off your back to simply say, of course I support Biden, he's going to run in 2024. So why did you have not just Cori Bush types and Jamal Bowman types struggling to answer that question, but Carolyn Maloney and Jerry Nadler types struggling to answer that question?
That was definitely the most curious. I personally think Carolyn Maloney is just like literally has dementia and has for like a decade, having been and is also an alcoholic. By the way,
what's that third guy, the South Asian guy who was running in that race?
Yeah,
that's what he was saying.
What's his name? Siraj Patel. I'm Siraj Patel. That's the Trump lawyer. I'm totally racist. Anyway, Siraj Patel. Yeah. And Nadler, I think it was political posturing that, like, you know, he wanted to capture the lefty vote in that district, and so he was reluctant to be like, yes, Team Joe Biden.
Okay, hold on a second here. Let me do this again. I have a little glitch that I'm going to try to avoid for you all. So let me.
The YubiKey acts as a physical two-factor authentication device for hundreds of services like G.
Damn it! That's what I was trying to avoid. So anyway, let me go ahead and say that you know. I'm okay with her, Marianne Williamson. I mean, I'm planning to vote, as I said, for a third party. I don't think
that was my read of that.
Excuse me.
I do agree.
I don't think that she'll get the nomination, but I do think awareness of the issues needs to continue. I mean, people think I'm too hung up on Bernie, and they're correct. They're correct. I am. In a lot of ways, I am. But that's because of the policies. And I'm a policy person. And, I know I appear to be a Bernie cultist at times, but it's all about the policy. And Bernie's got the best policies, and somebody needs to keep those policies alive. And if there's nobody out there in the mainstream parties to do this, then it's an exercise in fertility. I mean, it's just futility. It's just not going to, it's just going to be like, what's the use? Because this movement will be totally dead at this point. I will argue that possibly the movement died after Forced to Vote was rejected. And so I call it the death knell, and unfortunately, but we'll see what happens. I guess and maybe Bernie will run, and I don't know what's going to happen. We'll find out after the midterms. We'll see what's going to happen. But somebody needs to keep this message alive. Because if they don't, they're going to bury the subject of Medicare for all again, where we'll go back to a time where you will hardly ever hear the topic of single payer or Medicare for all. Because I remember back in the 90s and early 2000s, it was hardly ever mentioned. It was hardly ever mentioned anything positive in other developed countries. Some of the neat things that we're doing in terms of union rights and healthcare and free college and all of that. They just make fun of it. Oh, those people love to go and spend taxes and to get that free stuff and ew, that sort of thing. And that was the right wing and the liberals were like, they didn't want to even be associated with it, believe it or not. So I mean, I don't want to go back to that time period. I want to. And the right wing, the two right wings, the corporate Democrats and the Republicans, both want to not have this discussed. And as I said, this is all the more reason why we need to have it discussed. So we'll let them continue the discussion at hand. So anyway,
in that district, and so he was reluctant to be like, yes, Team Joe Biden. That was my read of that situation, but I do agree that was the one that was the most eyebrow raising. Like,
and there were some others. I feel like
there were a couple in swing districts in like Minnesota who were like, we need a younger generation or something like that. But those are in like swing districts. I just read that as politically.
Didn't Joe Manchin get asked? I feel like I remember Joe Manchin filibustering through that question too.
I don't know if I noticed that.
It was a lot of people. It was an action-packed week. We should do a supercut, maybe or not.
Yeah,
everybody.
He did just file with the FEC, like I said.
Yeah, but what's he going to do? Not file and then raise the specter of him not running? I don't know.
I continue to look at the political calculus and just say, like, they don't have anyone who's. It's not like he's well positioned, but they don't have anyone who's better positioned. He's an incumbent president. That comes with a lot of advantages. I really feel they'll do whatever they can to get him back in again.
You don't think they'd want to clear the field for a Pete?
They want to, and they might be fantasizing about it, but ultimately, they know they've got a Kamala Harris problem. Like, how are you going to shove to the side the Black woman VP?
Do you think that Kamala Harris believes herself to be qualified to be the president of the United States of America?
100%. She ran for president. Of course she thinks she's qualified.
I don't know that Kamala, at this point, with the humiliation tour that she's been on for the last 2 years, she doesn't strike me as like a Biden type who's run for president every 10 years since the time he was 29 years old. You know what I mean?
She definitely strikes me as that type. She's pure ambition. I don't think she's ever asked herself, like, am I qualified? It's just a question of, like, what's the next step up the ladder and how do I get there?
I think it's pure ambition. But there are many different types to have different types of ambition and different ways to achieve and strive. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if she thought my next move is a money move. I'm the vice president of the United States. It's pretty good. You made it pretty far. The party is aligned against me. Every other day, there's a media leak about how shitty I am. I can't keep my own staff around. My own comm staff's abandoning me left, right, and center. And I have enough, just the tiniest sliver of self-awareness to know that even if I want to, no one's going to help me do it, and I might as well pivot. Like, I don't know that it's not like trying to convince Joe Biden not to run, if he were, say, the VP, I think it would be extremely difficult. And yet, despite him being the kind of person who obviously wanted nothing other than to be president of the United States, they were able to talk him down and into not running in 2016. If they can talk Biden down out of running against Hillary Clinton and clearing the field for her, I don't think that Kamala Harris is as tough a fight. Barack Obama sits down and says, take this other job, take this other position.
Yeah, but Pete is also not as formidable as Hillary was at that point, And actually, I was part of those conversations. Biden was still going to run if Elizabeth Warren agreed to be his VP. And it was her rejection that ended up pulling the plug on that campaign. But,
why was he so invested in that particular pairing?
Well, his plan was to run to the left of Hillary. That was the strategy. It was like, I'm going to be to the left of and more sort of like populist.
Well, the thing is that Joe Biden is to the left of Hillary. That is true. He was always a New Democrat, and he got on board with the New Democrats when the New Democrats became a thing. But he is a holdover from a previous era. Farron Cousins mentioned that with the National Labor Relations Board, that he's putting regular attorneys, I believe, on that board that has not been put in there for decades, whereas previously, just like Republican presidents, Bill Clinton and Barack Obama were putting in corporate attorneys and that type in there. So that explains why there's been a slightly better direction in labor lately, and you're seeing a soft resurgence on labor and some wins. So while I don't like Joe Biden, and I think Joe Biden is terrible in many ways, there's been it's not as much as I like to see, but it looks like there's been a kind of a resurgence a little bit in labor that I have not seen really in my lifetime. I mean, just here in North Carolina recently, just seeing Starbucks in Boone and Starbucks in Wilmington being unionized. I mean, and I can't wait to see all of them unionized in the entire state. And with the manufacturing that's coming back due to the chain supply crisis that's been going on, that's also going to be another favorable thing. And that's another opportunity for unions to make a comeback. And if that can happen, if one must rely on the Democratic Party, this is a golden opportunity to make a labor movement come back with a vengeance, and you know, and to do something proactive where people can have that standard of living that was robbed from them by Reagan, but it was going on prior to Reagan. It was going on previously, but it was significantly robbed by Reagan and the Reagan Revolution and the corporate Democrats of the Democratic Leadership Council under Bill Clinton, and still exists to this day. So anyway, I'm doing what I do normally. Let them talk.
Alternative to Hillary, because it was clear. I mean, it was clear she was like, it's way too Wall Street aligned, and then it was a mismatch, and there was a problem there. So yeah, he thought if he could get Warren, that would be like the way to really signal to the left, like, I'm with you now, and this is where we're going. And so that was the thought.
That would have been an interesting alternative history.
Yeah, right.
DNA versus Wall Street Hill, and then Bernie, maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, and who knows if he gets in, if that happens, because then Warren is part of this other ticket. I don't know. Anyway, so interesting times.
This is the conversation. this post interview conversation is the meat and potatoes, Krystal. Hey YouTube, thanks for watching. Just a reminder that this is a podcast. You can catch an extra premium episode every Monday for $5 a month at patreon.com/badfaithpodcast. That's patreon.com.
And that's from Bad Faith with Briahna Joy Gray. And not that she needs any help. She's doing very well, but I urge you to go and go on YouTube and follow her, subscribe to her channel, and it's a great program. I enjoy it, and she's awesome. And she was basically one of the best people working in the 2020 campaign for Bernie Sanders. If they would have been, if all the major people working for Bernie Sanders were half the person that Briahna Joy Gray is, Bernie Sanders, we would be probably talking about President Bernie Sanders in the White House today. So anyway, that's pretty much what I wanted to discuss. And and as I said, the whole Marianne Williamson versus Elizabeth Warren situation, that's an interesting thing. It's just that Elizabeth Warren lost a lot of favor when she slandered Bernie Sanders and backstabbed him multiple times, and will not go into the conspiracy theory I have about Massachusetts. You know where it is. You know where I stand on that. So anyway, it isn't misinformation, but if I say it, YouTube will interpret it as that. So so basically that's what it comes down to. And so I'm going to say that that we'll see what happened after the midterms, and because it'll be presidential election 2024 time. You'll be seeing a whole lot of news with regard to all the hubbub with the Democrats. You'll be seeing a whole lot of news because with the hubbub about the Republicans, because, Donald Trump's going to be making a lot of noise, whether he's going to be running in that primaries or not. And so there's going to be a lot of that. So, and there's going to be a lot of talk about third parties too, especially on this channel here. I promise you, you will get a lot of talk about third parties on this show. I will talk about Democrats. I will talk about Republicans, talk about the bullshit and any good that there might be in there. It will get mentioned, but there will be a lot of focus on third parties because we need to have a multi-party system. Honestly, it's only way we're going to rescue this country and continue as a country. Otherwise, we're fucked if we continue with a two-party system. Two-party system, it's got to go. Really, honestly. So, okay, on the chat line we have what is it? IS. And I know what yours, let's see, how many zeros is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think it's like, what is it? 10 million times better, something like that. Yeah, 10 million times better. I'd go along with that with regard to Marianne Williamson versus Elizabeth Warren. Absolutely. Let's see. Tulsi was a disappointment. Warren did help. Well, I know what it says there. I'm not going to read it because it would be considered misinformation. Let's see. Maybe not actively though. Again, I don't want my channel shut down in that regard. I hate censorship. But anyway, pretty much that's what I got to say. And so anyway, if y'all like what you heard, press like and comment. If you disagree with what I have to say, comment anyway. We will have a conversation. What else am I going to say? Feel free to share the content on this channel as a First Amendment absolutist. It's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. Follow me on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, and of course, and remember to always reject corporate media because they have nothing to offer us. Quick announcement: this Saturday, Justin Adio and myself will be here at 6 p.m. to discuss Caleb Maupin, CPI, patriotic socialism, that sort of thing. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday. Mayor Pro Tem Santa Claus, North Pole, Alaska, ran for Congress in Alaska's special election with the ranked choice voting first round. We'll be discussing his campaign, his time as a Mayor Pro Tem in North Pole, Alaska, that sort of thing. And I will be saying I'm going to say goodbye to you all right now, and hopefully I will talk to you all next time. And until next time, we will conclude by saying to you all, music. So I'm going to say to you all, music.